BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor, take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward.
Sometimes the breakthrough that we want in athletics, in business, in leadership does not come from trying harder. Sometimes it comes from letting go of the need to control the outcome.
What are you built to be? What are you built to become? The time is now. The time is right now. You weren't built to break. You were built to be something greater. Welcome to Season 2 of the BTB Project. I'm your host, Kollman Gearhart. I was an overweight kid, the one counted out, lost 100 pounds, found purpose in the pain, and turned my setbacks into a story worth telling. This podcast isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about identity, discipline, and comebacks. Getting up one more time and becoming who we're always meant to be. If you're ready to go deep, do the work, and live out what you're built to be, you're in the right place. Let's lock in, let's rise, and let's get to work.
Welcome back to the BTB Project. I'm your host, Kollman Gearhart. And in today's BTB Short, I've been really stuck on this idea over the last several years about what it takes to accomplish the results that we want in life. And I want to take a moment to think about how becoming who we are built to be and the steps that it takes to get there. What if I told you that it was more about allowing ourselves to accomplish our goals rather than forcing ourselves to accomplish our goals? Everybody that I've talked to as a coach, or even in my own personal life, struggles with this understanding. The difference between forcing results and allowing results. Most people spend their lives trying to force their way into success. It's about trying harder. It's about doing more. It's about grinding. And especially for us men, it almost seems like the status quo that we exhaust ourselves, that we literally beat ourselves into the ground trying to accomplish a goal. We'll force productivity. We'll force motivation. We'll force confidence and force happiness. And ironically, the harder that we force, the further the results seem to move away. But for the most powerful performers that I've come across or I've seen on planet Earth, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, leaders, they understand something different. They understand how to allow the results to happen. Not through being lazy, not through passivity, but through alignment. And today we're going to unpack what that means. So I want to first talk about the trap of forcing. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a moment where you were trying so hard to make something happen And no matter what you did, it just kept falling apart. You overthink the presentation for work. You overtrain right before that big tennis match. Too many sets in the gym. You push harder and harder in business trying to level up the corporate ladder. And as you're doing that, all of a sudden, everything feels tight. Everything feels forced. Everything feels heavy. Athletes call this pressing. Instead of flowing, they start forcing shots. Instead of trusting their training, they try to control every little finite detail of what they're trying to accomplish in that game, in that practice. And what ends up happening? Typically, that's when we see performance drop. But this isn't just sports psychology. There's actually an ancient philosophy that explains this perfectly. And it's called Wu Wei. This is a Taoist principle that means effortless action. Not no effort, but action that flows naturally within the moment. In my very brief time looking into flow state and understanding this art form of allowing, I want you to think of it more like water. Water doesn't force its way through a rock when you see it going down a creek, when you see it in a slow moving river. Over time, water can shape mountains. The way that it's flowing around the rock, it can create these unbelievable formations. That's the power of water. It's not force, it's how it flows. And the same principle applies to human performance. I remember coming across a study done by a psychologist that spent decades studying peak performance, and they discovered something fascinating. The best performers in the world enter a mental state called flow. It's a state where time will slow down, where focus sharpens, and actions feel almost automatic. I often teach this as a coach. It's this moment where you're no longer thinking and you're only performing. Athletes call this the zone. But here's the interesting part. You can't force flow. You can't force the water down the creek to create the mountain formation. The moment that you try to force it, you lose it. Flow happens when skill meets challenge, when presence replaces pressure, and when effort becomes natural instead of forced. Some of the greatest athletes in history talk about this. Michael Jordan talks about the game-winning shot, the multiple championships he won with the Chicago Bulls. The guy was an absolute monster. Perfected flow. On the tennis side, Roger Federer, one of my favorite players to watch. He makes it look so effortless. My older brother, ironically, several years ago, got to see him in Miami. And he said, Kollman, every time he moved, he didn't make any noise. It's like he was floating on the court. And also Serena Williams, somebody that packed a punch on the female tennis side. But when she was playing at her highest level, she looked at peace. She looked calm, but also maintain aggression at the same time. This controlled aggression that ended up translating into multiple majors and championships. All these athletes describe moments where the game feels easy, not because it is easy, but because they're allowing themselves to perform. I've been fortunate enough in my own life to experience this allowing of sorts. When I was chasing my dream of playing Division I college tennis, there were moments where I tried forcing everything. Well before showing up to the college campus, I had to lose over 100 pounds because I wasn't in shape to accomplish my goal. So I'm doing everything I can to get my weight down. I'm doing everything I can to get my skill IQ up on the tennis court so that I can hit that big serve, so that I can trust my forehand. But a lot of that was forced. I was trying to force results. I was trying to enforce improvement. I was forcing outcomes. And the more I forced it, the more frustrated I became. But something interesting started to happen. When I was playing my best tennis, these were the days that I stopped trying to control everything. The days that I trusted the work, what I was doing in the dark when no one was watching. Trusting the training that I had in Arizona long before I hit campus. I trusted the moment. I had prepared for the moment, and the moment was there. And suddenly, game slowed down. Shots felt natural. I could feel my head, my breath, my body all kind of become one. It's like an out-of-body experience. But it's wild because it wasn't forced. That's the paradox of performance. Sometimes the breakthrough that we want in athletics, in business, in leadership does not come from trying harder. Sometimes it comes from letting go of the need to control the outcome. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes our best performing moments is letting go of the need to control the outcome. So why do we force? Why do we want so much control in our lives? Well, a big part of that is fear. Fear of failure. Fear of not being enough. Fear of losing control of our lives. Losing control of the goal that we have set for ourselves. We live in a culture obsessed with control. Controlling the outcome, controlling the plan, controlling the timeline. But if life doesn't work that way, the most powerful outcomes often emerge when we shift from control to alignment. Instead of asking, how do I force this to happen? We should ask ourselves, how do I position myself for this to happen? Did you catch the difference? Farmers are people that understand this perfectly. A farmer cannot force a seed to grow. They can prepare the soil, they can plant the seed, they can water the ground, and create all of the right conditions. The nature does the rest. Nature does the rest. Success works in the same way, ladies and gentlemen. You can't force growth, but you can create the conditions for growth. So here's a principle I want you to grasp. We just wrapped up the BTB blueprint several weeks ago, and the BTB philosophy that I've been able to instill over the last 20 years, helping athletes, helping business professionals, helping entrepreneurs. It's the question that I ask anyone that I'm trying to help. What are you built to be? Because forcing results often means trying to become someone that isn't aligned with who they truly are. It's that internal alignment that gives you the confidence to allow to align with your purpose. When you're aligned with your purpose, that's when your energy changes. That's when your work feels different. It doesn't feel like work. effort feels meaningful. You don't feel empty as you're pursuing your dreams. The results begin to emerge naturally. That doesn't mean life becomes easy. When you decide who you're built to be, and you make that internal alignment, that's actually when the real battle starts. And as that battle starts, it means your effort begins to flow in the right direction of the battle. And over time, you're going to build momentum. Think back again to how mountains are built. The water is what shapes them over time by consistently flowing. So, what are some action steps? How can I apply flow in my life so that I'm not forcing all the time? Here's a few practical ways to stop forcing results and to start allowing them. First, focus on the process, not the outcome. The journey of becoming who you're built to be is what I want you to fall in love with. Outcomes create unnecessary pressure. Processes create progress. We're always moving forward. We're always getting at least 1% better every day. And instead of asking yourself, how do I win? Ask, what is next for the right action? What is the next thing I can do to stay present, to focus on the process, to create the desired outcome I want? In tennis, we call this playing it point by point. Every single point has a purpose. Every single point matters, whether you win or lose, but you're present enough to play point by point. Life works the exact same way. Second, I want you to remove excess pressure. Pressure tightens the mind. It's completely unnecessary. Flow requires space. You have to have the mental capacity to let flow happen. So ask yourself, where am I putting unrealistic pressure on myself? What if instead of providing something, you focus on improving something? Third is I want you to trust your preparation. Confidence comes from your preparation, but performance requires trust within yourself. Are you willing to bet on yourself? Do you know yourself to go after what you're built to be? At some point, you have to let go of the failure, of the insecurities, of the self-doubt. And you have to allow the work you've done to express itself. Overthinking is often the enemy of performance. Fourth is you gotta be present. Flow only happens in the present moment, not your past, not your future, right now. One simple tool is this. Take a deep breath. Bring your attention to the present moment and ask yourself, what matters right now? That one breath, that one reset changes everything. Fifth and final actionable step is create alignment. When your life aligns with your values, the energy changes. It takes energy to have self-doubt and insecurities. It takes energy to allow yourself to be in flow state and to be optimistic about who you're becoming and to be present, to take that breath when you know you need a reset. All of it takes energy. When that energy changes, that's when you're stopping the force of motivation. You're stopping the chase of validation. And you start building something meaningful on your built to be journey. Listen, if there's something inside of you that is built to emerge in your life, your purpose, your potential, your impact. But sometimes the breakthrough doesn't come from forcing harder. Sometimes it comes from aligning deeper, from trusting the process, from allowing the results of your effort to unfold. So as we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with one question. Where in your life are you forcing something that might begin to flourish if you simply allowed yourself to be in flow? Because the truth is, you are built to be resilient. You are built to grow. You are built to overcome. And when your effort aligns with your purpose, results don't have to be forced. They begin to just flow. Go be the water that's shaping mountains in this world. As always, I'm proud of each and every one of you. And until next time, take care.